Gamers, welcome to the Part-Time Gamers Club where we game part-time but support gaming all the time. For those of you tuning back in, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if it's your first time here, I'm Gio. Alongside me is Gerard and Mike. And on today's episode, we're going to be discussing the success of Clair Obscura Expeditions 33 and 100 Men versus Gorillas. Gerard, you go.
So Expedition 33 is what we're starting off with. And it is, I don't want to call it an overnight sensation because there was a lot of, even in the podcast, some popularity and some attention onto it. But I will say it is taking the video game industry by storm, especially with the numbers that they're putting out. Over 1 million copies already been sold. A huge success both by critics and by the mainstream or the audience, even crashing some records. Forbes announced that they are the holding record of the highest Metacritic score of 9.7, which beat out the second place by multiple points, which was the Blood and Wine DLC of Witcher 3, which has a 9.3.
Every fans?
This is fans. This is audience. This is fans specifically.
Okay.
And the funniest thing is third and down have 9.2. So this is beating all of those games by like 0.4 or more by a lot. And it's by like 6,000 reviews. So this isn't a fluke or anything like that. Mm-hmm. With that being said, did you guys predict this popularity and this overwhelming success? And how do you feel that the gaming industry is taking this right now?
Well, I'll start off by saying, Ubisoft fans, do you see what games do? They announce their sales when they're successful. But anyway, back to what you're saying. Also, they don't have to buy reviews, and the fans give the higher reviews than the critics. But anyway, like you said, I think it's a big deal because maybe, just maybe, the developers, not developers, like you said, I won't go after the developers. The gaming companies, the dumbass CEOs will listen to the fan base because something, I showed you guys a video. Square Enix kind of got away from their own fan base by getting away from turn-based games because they felt that was a thing of the past. But now look at a game that used basically Final Fantasy's formula of turn-based and other JRPGs, and it's extremely successful. Now you can't say this is just the older fan base because I'm sure there's plenty of youthful players. So I think this is big for us as gamers because maybe this will set a precedent going forward. You know what I mean? I hope, but we'll see.
I don't think I predicted, I guess, the high amount of the success. I thought it was going to be decent.
Hmm.
I mean, it looked like a very good storyline. It was a breath of fresh air, different style. But I don't think it, the success that it's garnering now, I couldn't have predicted it. Man, I can't even talk right now. But I couldn't have guessed it, I guess I would say, or expected it.
I would
But
say we had
uh,
expectations
I
as
mean, we all
fans.
had. I mean, I haven't bought the game yet. I will, but it's busy lifestyle. But
Yeah, and I would say that turn-based games have really fallen out, or like not fallen out of favor. There are some games that came out that are doing good numbers, like Persona. Persona is always putting up good numbers, and but it's like the Ateliers games are good numbers too. But
The Tails game.
yes,
Tails
those
game
are good.
also.
But those are mainstream titles. These are like franchises that have long been like turn-based games are still putting up good numbers, but this is the first time in a while that we've gotten a new franchise or new game title that is turn-based that has hit success markers. The last time we've had it was, I would think, what, like a new franchise. I can't even remember. But like it's been that long that we've had a new franchise take the storm in turn based, and it is pretty funny to me because a lot of people are saying like, hey, this is a testament to like the game industry or the AAA's, the mainstream industry doesn't know what's gonna work because we've been saying it for a very long time. It's just like indie game and after indie game have been producing straight bangers like for years now. This isn't a fluke anymore. This is multiple times indie games have been just outdoing AAA companies, and it goes to show that I guess is that I guess it's literal evidence that the gaming industry is just out of touch, just out of touch. They don't know what's going on, and it's proof that you don't need large development teams. Like Clair Expedition or Clair Obscura Expedition 33 was made with 33 devs and a
I was
dog.
gonna ask you.
And a dog.
I was gonna ask you, not just about their mascot, but um, do you think that's a factor also that it was a smaller team, probably a team that was more dedicated than a large group that some uh, games that we know have like 400 plus developers. Obviously, there was probably a lot more heart and passion put into this game to not even. I don't even think they expected their game to be as successful it is, but I'm sure they appreciate that everybody noticed the hard work and the results show for themselves, especially because the audience score is so high. Forget about the critics, because we spoke on game journalists and how we feel about that.
The
And
critics also scored it high, to be fair, but
yeah, but like the only reason I would give credits or critics the benefit of the doubt for this game is because they're not a big company. They weren't paying for reviews. They weren't doing any favors. This is just a good old group of, gamers that love gaming, put a game together. They probably were big JRPG fans, I'm assuming, going that direction.
oh,
Clearly have a lot of history and passion.
they definitely have history. So if you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
this is Ubisoft ex devs. These are people who got laid off by Ubisoft that make this team.
Well, Ubisoft should hire them because they need them right now. All 33 of them.
They, it's funny. It's funny to say because like, what people have been noticing is that a lot of industry, like large industry, like Activision, things like that, are, like congratulating the Sandfall team for their big hit for Expedition 33. We have not seen Ubisoft say anything about this game because they know it's the ex devs, which means, and this is just me postulating, this is just a theory. I could be like totally off base with this, but my thoughts is that because the CEO also came from Ubisoft, or I think this was pitched as an idea at Ubisoft. They turned it down because it was too risky. And now that it's been a huge success, Ubisoft doesn't want to admit to it that they were wrong.
I'm gonna let
I mean,
Mike go.
that could be the case, but like I feel like the gaming industry, we try to up and move forward, and with how things are being ran, we went from turn based into like open world RPG kind of stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So maybe some companies just feel like going backwards, will be kind of like not progressive or more advanced. And and it goes to show that like some loyal fan base like to go back to trend base if it's done right. Okay, and from this type of the success of this game, it's done correctly because it's churn based. And I think that's probably why like there's a probably like a suck in the middle because everybody's trying to move forward with the technology and all that stuff, and going to open where you
Mm-hmm.
just open roam and not a lot of churn based games anymore.
No linear
That
games. They try to get
or
away
linear.
from linear. Yeah, they're trying to get
Yeah,
away
so
from linear.
so it's like so I guess it's like more of a like I said, a breath of fresh air. Going back to kind of like this, and like I said, it has to be done right because you could have a turn-based game and not, and the storyline either sucks or the visuals are not there. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this game seems like the whole package, and I can't wait to play it, and I can't wait to fully play it and get
Mm-hmm.
immersed into it. But I think that's just where we're at. Is just maybe going back to things that was done before may pay off, but like I said, gotta be done correctly.
I would say to um tag on to what Mike said is a lot of these game developers, and we talked about it, Gerard, when we were playing a little bit of a Clair Obscura the one day. Um, I feel like a lot of these gaming companies, not the developers, I keep saying developers, I apologize to you guys, because I know you got bosses that don't listen to you. It's clear. Um, they kind of forget that our age group, players between 30 to 45, we grew up on the Final Fantasy games, the original turn-based games, and other type of RPGs or other name brands. I can't think of it. One thing that excited me, and you mentioned it too, that I heard was that it was similar to Legend of Dragoon, the playstyle, and that was exciting to me because I really liked Legend of Dragoon. I was really disappointed that PlayStation, or shall I say Sony, never did a second one. They just never did. So it's kind of cool to see that something that we grew up on is coming back, right? They always say like the styles come back from like the 80s or 90s. You think of clothing, music, things like that. So now the gaming world is going to see that, like, hey, there's still a big fan base that plays these kind of games, that still desire these kind of games. Like Mike said, we want it done right. Don't touch an RPG, like a JRPG style game, if you're not going to do what you need to do. And for me personally, I'm hoping this is a wake up call to Square Enix and gets them to go back to what made them the company. They were the RPG king for a long time. So I'm hoping that wakes them up.
I'm gonna beg the question for both of you. If this was not a turn-based game,
Mhm.
would have this happened the same success, or you think it'll be different?
I can't even imagine this game being a turn-based
Not
game.
being, not being.
It's integrated into
Yeah,
like
he may not.
everything this game is turn-based.
It's
So
a true
like
turn-based game.
it is truly, if you haven't played the game for, and this is going to be for the audience as well, but just towards Mike, the way combat flows is you have a turn-based system, just like majority like Final Fantasy and things like that, with QTEs intermixed between attacking and defending. So you're actively participating in between your turns, but your turn is like your character's turn is the exact same way, menu selecting, things like that, choice of like attacks and things like that.
Items, stuff like that.
So it is entirely, the combat is completely worked around that system, and there's no way to not make it turn based. Like you could like, I'm trying to imagine it as an action RPG or something similar to like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or even even like closer to like I don't know if you guys ever played Crisis Core, but something even along those lines. I still can't imagine the game with how integrating like the QTE is and things like along those lines. It does remind me, I don't know if you guys ever played it. It's a game called Lost Odyssey on Xbox 360. Same thing. Yeah, turn-based game with QTE, but there's no QTE in defending or things like that, and it's not as like largely integrated into like crits, and each character has their own system and things like that. However, to answer Mike's question a little bit more in detail, if it was not a turn-based game, it still might have a chance. Because the music, amazing. The story, I played the game fully, or I beat the game, at least through the storyline. I love the story completely. It does have a little bit knockoffs, but like I'm enjoying the game. I enjoyed the story immensely. And the visuals, breathtaking. Like many different sceneries are just absolutely jaw-dropping. I will say that my computer can play with upscaled graphics and a little bit higher resolution, but I'm going to assume that even with on the low end settings, if you can get your computer to run low end settings, it still looks breathtaking, especially with how like different all the environments look.
Yeah, I think, but I'm curious though. I mean, Mike brings up a good point though, because yeah, you're right. I'm sure the story is great and all that. Obviously, I can still got to play through, but I feel like maybe that style of game is getting kind of like oversaturated. That action adventure style. more so than the turn-based. And I think part of the success of it is because it is turn-based and it's a well done turn-based, a very well done turn-based. So I think that helped its success. I'm not saying that's the only reason it's successful because, like we said, you
Yeah.
got to do it right. But I think that does help because we've kind of, as gamers, especially of that style, that genre, we've been yearning for a game that excites us again and kind of gives us that nostalgic feeling. You know what I mean? So that's why I said I really hope it wakes up some of the other game developers. And I was going to ask you, Gerard, because I don't remember when it happened. I don't know if Mike remembers when it happened. When did these gaming companies start to look at turn-based games as a thing of the past? And why did they feel like young gamers wouldn't appeal to younger gamers?
Uh,
I don't think it-
oh, go ahead, Mike.
I don't think it was like trying to stay away to turn off the
No, that
older
was a
game.
comment from Square Enix.
But
That was
I just feel like you move forward like with technology, you move forward and you try to advance things and you're just trying to do things differently at that time, and then it became more of an open world action RPG, and people loved it at that time. When it came out, it was different,
no. I got
something
you,
new.
Mike.
But it's
But
like
my thing was they changed their historic franchise, Final Fantasy, instead of making a new franchise for those style of games.
So
Because and so go ahead, Mike. All right,
I,
Gerard.
I was gonna say like it kind of started changing around 13,
Mhm.
because when we got 12, it was still turn based. I'm talking about Final Fantasy, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah,
Final
I'm
Fantasy
still
12 was
waiting
still
to correct
turn
me.
based. 13, like original 13 was uh turn based. I think 13.2 was also turn based. And no, 13 Lightning Returns was not turn based. It was like a little pseudo.
it was weird now
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that
Uh,
I
did it?
don't know if you consider that turn
I don't
based.
even want to. I don't want to talk about Lightning Returns. It's my least favorite Final Fantasy of all time. But they have been. I think it was with surveys and things like that, because majority of latest, and I say for Square Enix games because they've been hitting like large franchises like Star Ocean, Final Fantasy
Mm-hmm.
itself, and some other popular games are just started switching off of delayed or patient gameplay to be more and what I would call targeted towards a short-termed or short attention span audience, which surveys and a whole bunch of like um, data collection has shown that the newer audience and new generation of gamers are going to be more towards that mindset or more towards that kind of thing, because with entertainment like TikTok and other short form media, they're predicting a lot of new generations are going to be very short patience and have no ability to be able to understand a game without being without their hand being held at that point.
Start calling
But
them stupid.
it's basically what they are. Like literally, what they've been calling gamers for a very long time is unable to like understand. Like things have to be painted a certain way to for you to be know where you need to go, or like you need to get all the tutorials hand fed to you, and you need to be reminded what the story is, like an exposition date or exposition dump, excuse me, in the first like 40 minutes of the game. I need to know everything about the game before I even play the game. Like there's no sense of mystery or excitement or like even a twist or turn in any of the game media nowadays. And I do feel like, and this is me just like shooting my thoughts into the abyss. I don't think that we have gone away from turn-based games like any other entertainment media. Sure, there is like a point or like a main topic or main genre that is like at the forefront and being popular, but every other genre is going to still be necessary. You're still going to need your turn-based games. You're still going to need your first-person shooters. You're still going to need your sport games. Those are always going to be necessary. Do not think that the audience is not there for them. They exist. They will come, and you'll have casuals and you have your hard dies, like your diehards for that genre. You cannot miss with a shotgun, okay? So I think that the gaming industry predicts like, hey, like the age of turn-based is old and past. Everyone wants some open action or open world action RPGs or just some fast-paced gaming. It's like, no, there are time and place for it, but sometimes I just want to sit down and take my sweet time on a turn-based game, or sometimes I want to spend 10, 15, 30, maybe even an hour playing a puzzle game. Like, each genre has a specific time and place. The person kind of doesn't matter.
I think I agree with that. I mean, games is always try to evolve and try to change and go up, increase the changes still. But you don't want to, turn away other genres that like turn based in, because there are games that comes out for each. The sports, every year there's a new year sports. Even though we don't like it or not, there's always some subtle improvements.
Because there's nothing different. That's really, they really play it safe.
I won't go there. I won't go there because
But Mike, I got to say something. You said subtle improvements, and I'm like, yeah, but he's not mentioning all the other things they broke, fixing the couple of things that they fixed, and the game is still trash because everything else is broken now. Like, for instance, I got to touch on it, man. Mike mentioned sports games, and I'm like, you know how much I am dying for like a good Madden again? Like, I was a huge Madden fan. Mike we bought it every year. And now, bro, I don't know the last time I bought a Madden. I really don't. I know when Mike bought one, he was pissed because he was broken and he couldn't play it anyway, so he just refunded it. But it's like, all right, it's kind of like the JRPG thing, man. Like, we just need some passionate game developers, maybe a smaller crew, maybe the EA needs to like do something different because there's still a fan base for it. We do want those games, but we want them to be made right. We want them done well. We want people that are passionate about those type of games. Like you said, that was probably a project, Clair Obscura, that got rejected by Ubisoft because potentially they probably didn't see the I want to say the kind of like, I guess, return of investment for that game that they were looking for. They were swinging for the fences. Every game they seen, it feels like recently was supposed to be the next mega hit, right? Bones and Shadows or whatever that game was called. Then they had the Star Wars Outlaw, Assassin's Creed Shadow. Everything was supposed to be blockbuster. They spent hundreds of millions on all these games and didn't get nothing back in return for them in reality. So, like, I think a lot of these companies need to dial it back. Stop worrying so much about how much you're spending on these games. Start focusing on spending the money on the teams you're putting together more so than, I guess, the technology and advancements, like Mike is saying, that you're putting into these games. Because you could put all that shit in, but if it's all broken because you don't give the development teams enough time to put them in correctly and make sure everything works, and like you say, you don't have beta testers, and you're not getting the feedback that you should get. You know what I mean?
I also think there is, for Ubisoft, this game, Expedition 33 took 5 years to make from its concept to gold standard. And I don't think the current gaming industry wants to be spending the amount of time on video games. That's why these like teams are like 400 and plus people. But honestly, I do think just like games just need more time. Just like, if you need to work on a game for 3 or more years, then that's what's going to have to be. Like, the immediate need for a game to be done within a year is only available for games that are going to be putting out expansions or DLCs. And, like, that should not be the life cycle of making a whole ass game. You shouldn't be planning to make a whole game from concept to final product within 2 to 3 years. Plan to have 4 or more years in a game, and probably no more than 100 people to 200 people working on it. You don't need that many people working on it. The more people you put on a game, the more chances with the different coding habits, different product views, different art styles. There's way too many cooks in the kitchen.
More room for human error.
Exactly. I just think that the gaming industry has been taken over by entrepreneurs and megalomaniacs that they think like you can put out a baby in 1 month with 9 women, okay? Like have you never heard it? You never heard that saying?
No, I never heard that saying, but
It's
all
like,
right,
oh,
all right.
like it's like,
It's a good
oh,
one. It is a good
if-
one. More
yeah.
woman, you think you can make the baby faster. I get it. I get what
Exactly.
you're saying.
Like it doesn't change that you in order to have a quality product, you need to have people who are one passionate, two paid correctly so that they don't feel like any immediate threat to their job
Burn
is
them out.
exactly. And 3, they need ample amount of time because like first you get the functionality there, then you figure out what's a fun game, and then you build upon it. Like foundations need to be clearly set before you can start thinking about risk you're going to take. The risk you take is how you separate yourself from the rest of the gaming industry. And that's just not there right now. Every game industry is trying to be safe. Why? Because they're trying to put out games in 2 years and just throwing money at a wall. And of course it's not going to stick. Why? Because money is not sticky. It's just going to bounce off. You want something to stick? Put passion in. Put some blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, they like you said, if this was a project, right, that did get rejected by Ubisoft, and these people felt like they had to leave because Ubisoft wasn't going to let them implement their ideas, right? I hope more people, because you see all the layoffs that are happening, right? There was recently a bunch. I forget which company just recently did a whole bunch. I know Nintendo did some, but somebody else just did some.
EA
EA.
just laid off 400 people.
So I'm hoping like this motivates developers to do more of their own stuff, group together, get their little nickels and dimes, get somebody to invest in them, and put out projects like this because listen, the gamers are going to invest in you. If you invest in the gamers are going to invest in you. So I hope it's the beginning of something good. Like you said, there's been a lot of indie games that have been becoming successful. There was that little silly one that what was it called, Schedule 1 or something like that kind of took
Yeah.
off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
so-
game is also like a problem child because like it incentivizes or it's around drug use. So very
Well, all right, listen, we can't talk about that when everybody's waiting on GTA 6 like for like 18 years.
GTA 6 also has a predicted price tag of $100. Okay, so
This one was like how much? It wasn't
Okay,
even, like
but-
15.
what?
Schedule one.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Schedule 1 was $20. Kids
Yeah.
could buy that. Just saying.
No, you're right. But like to think about it, all right, you said it's gonna be like $100, and I don't want to get too much into GTA. I think we should do an episode because they officially got a release date now, finally. But GTA and Rockstar, I'm sorry, if there's one development and production team I trust, it's Rockstar. I can't tell you a GTA that disappointed me because it hasn't. A lot of people, I never played the Red Dead Redemptions. I don't know if you guys ever tried it. Those are massive successes. So if there's somebody I trust and would be willing to pay $100 for a game, it's Rockstar.
oh,
I'm just
I
being
have.
honest.
I was gonna say, I was like, I honestly, it's not that I don't think $100 is. I personally would pay $100 if I know the quality was going to be good, but it does set a precedent that expensive games. I don't think you need to be putting out a game that you would need to expect people to pay $100 in order for you to profit. It turns into a different type of game because now we're getting to like the people that would normally buy GTA are probably not buying GTA because like now it's $100. That's like some people don't even get that. Like that's the amount for groceries in a week.
Bro, I can't tell you. Yeah,
Well,
no,
that's
he's right. Yeah. $100, you're walking out with 3 grocery bags. Okay.
okay,
One in-
but still,
all in one hand.
though,
Two
though,
grocery
you're
cards.
yeah, you are taking grocery money away. That's what I'm saying. Like that
Okay.
does hurt. That does hit
I'm okay.
the paycheck.
Some people might be okay with cutting down on eating just to get that game. Okay, because they've been waiting so long. No, but in all honesty, I think like you said, that is crazy to think because I know it's $1 billion. I think the budget is on that game, or a little over. But like I said, man, if there's anybody I trust with a budget like that and trust to put out something that's gonna justify that budget, it'd be Rockstar. So I won't knock them on that. But like you said though, I would prefer games if they do more of the Clair Obscura route, and if you got 33 passionate developers that are they have a vision, they have a dream, that want to make this game come to life, then that's all us gamers can ask for, man. Because that's when you get these kind of games, the best games you ever play.
I mean, the last thing I want to leave off on before we close is that I love Expedition 33, and maybe we'll see an expansion, some DLCs for it, things like that. But also, I can't wait for the next game they release, because honestly, it doesn't have to be a turn-based game. It doesn't have to be anything like that. But I can see that they're willing to put the passion in, and I would like to see what other games they would put passion in. See what kind of thing they do when they have money and a following.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any final words?
Mike, you got it? I got something. I want to see if you got something.
I'm good.
I already know what you're gonna say.
I was just gonna say no, you don't. No, I'm gonna get to that, but no, I was gonna say I hope to see or want to see how many people now ditch Ubisoft to go join them, because Ubisoft is gonna be laying off a lot of people. It's coming. It's coming. After the whole buyout thing, it's only a matter of time. So I'm curious, but then again, I don't know how many they would be willing to take, because I'm sure there's still top talent in Ubisoft that maybe Clair Obscura's team will be like, yeah, come on.
Sandford.
But yeah, or same, yeah. But yeah, I'm curious to see that. And then, I just gotta ask you, who you think got it? Do you think 100 Men or the Gorilla? Who got it?